Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pleb Underground, the signal without the slop. I'm your host, Phil. All right. Let's take a look at some of the stories we are following. Going to kick it off, of course, with some Hopium. We've got some very bullish comments from Eric Trump, from Matt Hougan, who's the CEO of Bitwise. Is the Bitcoin bottom in? That's right, huh? That's kind of what I called this episode. Hey, good morning, Turbo. So we're probably gonna take a look at some Hopium charts that are gonna prove to us that this tap on the 100K area, it's just testing out the support before we go higher. It's just trying to, right? We're just trying to figure out, like, hey, do we have enough momentum to do big things towards the end of the year? That's my Hopium. Anyways, Endless Paper Bitcoin. That's right. I have to do the rebrand from the Paper Bitcoin Summer to the Endless Paper Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at Metasplat. Core versus knots. Lots of fun there. Always lots of fun with the core versus knot stuff. And of course, for the fail today, we've got lava. Now, before we dive into this, you know the deal. We're going to give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor, and we are going to be right back to dive into all of these stories. Here we go. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. Okay, so look, I just want you to know before I show this screenshot, this is because of Twitter. Okay, this is why I'm showing this. That's right, guys. Scottie Pippen, the guy who lied about seeing Satoshi in a dream and meeting Satoshi back in like 1990, is more bullish and able to handle FUD better than the Bitcoiners, some Bitcoiners that have been here for years, that are sitting there crying about it's a bear market, it's all over, all this stuff. This guy, it's all your fault, guys. It's all your fault. Scottie Pippen's more bullish than you. Should be ashamed. Okay? Should all be ashamed. Anyways, let's keep going here, guys. Let's keep going because of course, we've got some solid Hopium. Let's dive into it. Here we go.
For 25 years, it took me 120 days to go through and know your customer, right? And you're sitting there saying, why? Why is it every week as a hospitality company, right? I'm trying to get a wire out, or I'm waiting to receive a wire through the SWIFT system, where if I don't get it out by 5 o'clock, and by the way, even if you get it out at 5 o'clock, zero chance it's making there before Monday. You know, when you can transfer $500 million worth of Bitcoin from an iPhone to an iPhone, having a wallet address, you know, at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, you know, for no fees, for practically no fees. And that scares the big financial institutions.
He's not wrong. He's definitely not wrong. It does scare the big financial institutions. And of course, right, he loves Bitcoin, but he, of course, runs a shitcoin as well, right? World Liberty Financial. So, yeah, I obviously I always appreciate the kind words about Bitcoin. I appreciate big accounts like that, right? Big influencers and celebrities talking about Bitcoin, but more specifically explaining one of the major qualities about Bitcoin, right? It's 24/7. This market never sleeps. That's bullish. That does, you're right, like that matters. Anyways, okay, guys, here we go. We're going to continue on with some Hopium. Got a chart here. Bitcoin daily RSI. That's right, guys. The bottom is in. Okay? Because we've got this chart and these arrows. So, I mean, look, it looks good, right? The relative strength index is showing that it's all the way at the bottom. So, okay, we can make the case for Bitcoin being oversold and that we are going to move higher. And yeah, you know, charts confirming stuff. Nothing special there. But it does make me happy that at least we're getting some confirmation that this is the current bottom. And I can appreciate that. Stuff. Okay. Shout out to fellow Bitcoiner Matt. I always appreciate his charts. So here we go. If you like Bitcoin at 124K, you should love it at 104. Indeed. Indeed. And it's kind of funny, right? That so many people are talking about how it's dead at 104. Guys, I said this to you yesterday. This was less than a 20% drawdown. You know how many 20% drawdowns we've already had this cycle? No, you haven't even been paying attention. So you don't even know that we've already had like 3 or 4 and have come back in a big way to go higher. Okay? So got to zoom out. All right? Got to zoom out. So look, was talking to Matt yesterday. It's quite possible. He's also of the opinion that this bull market may actually push over into early 2026. What are your guys' thoughts on that, huh? Early 2026? What do you think? Hey, Bunny. Okay. All right. We are back. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. We've got more solid hopium here. All right. Let's hear some comments from we'll hear some comments from Matt Hougan, the Bitwise CIO. He also seems to think the bottom is in.
The market for sort of crypto native retail is just more depressed than I've ever seen it. I think that market is close to a bottom. It's hard to find a crypto native investor who still has much enthusiasm for the market. I think the market is shifting into an institutionally driven market. And interestingly, that market is still bullish. When I go out and speak to institutions or financial advisors, they're still excited to allocate to an asset class that, if you pan back and look over the course of a year, is still delivering very strong returns. So my view of the market is we have to get through this retail flush out. We have to hit bottom from a sentiment perspective. I think we're very close to that. And then I'm optimistic that we rally into the end of the year and into 2026 as the institutional investors who are more maybe even keeled about what's going on at a fundamental level in crypto start to drive the market forward. So I'm optimistic, but we do have to finish this washout of retail sentiment. And again, I think we're closer to the end of that than the beginning, but there always could be a little bit more downside.
Yeah, nobody likes to make predictions, right? You don't want to tell people to buy something and then it goes down 50%. He's like, yeah, we're at the bottom. The bottom is in, but the bottom could be a little bit more bottom. Yeah. And this is why I just stack, There we go. There's a take. I appreciate that. Nobody wants to hear this one, right? Measured in gold, we're in the middle of the bear market. Bottom is near. I appreciate that sentiment. Absolutely. Yeah, hey, none of that stuff worked out. We had all these stories, right? We had all these stories. The M2 money supply. Look, the supply is going up. Bitcoin's going to rip. Nah, didn't happen. All these institutions, right? All these Bitcoin treasury companies. What if they're going to save Bitcoin and make the price go up? No, okay, so that's two things that didn't happen. Okay, gold is going to a new all-time high, so for sure Bitcoin's going to fall. So yeah. It's all just hopium, guys. It's all just freaking hopium. This is why you got to stick to understanding Bitcoin's qualities, because once you understand the qualities, you don't waste your time with the rest of this crap. And you're like, yep, that's right. More and more people will realize this and come to these same conclusions, and they begin to hoard Bitcoin. It really is that simple. Yeah. Anyways, let's continue on, because as you could imagine, we've got so much more. All right. Take a look at Senator Lummis's comments. We all know, right? She's been a huge champion of the strategic Bitcoin reserve, a huge champion of states having a strategic Bitcoin reserve, a huge champion of the government paying back its debt using Bitcoin. Let's see what she had to say.
Discussion about converting some of the U.S. government's gold holdings into Bitcoin. Have you seen any traction on that?
I have not.
And you won't.
I think the administration is looking at ideas of.
Sorry. So I love Bitcoin, but I'm just not falling for that shit. The U.S. government is not selling any of its gold for Bitcoin. That is my opinion. Anyways, we'll see what actually ends up happening, though, right? But I don't buy that shit for a second. They don't need to. You could just confiscate the Bitcoin. Why the hell would you sell gold for it? It's all so tired.
Rather than using our gold certificates, marking them to market, and then converting them to Bitcoin, there are other ways to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve other than converting our gold certificates. And so Secretary Bessent, Treasury Secretary, is looking at those matters, as well as the folks at the White House. I'm glad they're embracing the notion of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. It's an asset that will grow over time and help offset the burgeoning growth in our national debt.
Okay. The government appreciates the idea behind the strategic Bitcoin reserve. But the reality is that they're only going to do it through the confiscation instant breakfast. That's it. That's all it's going to be. They're not going to do it through anything else. It's just going to be confiscation. That's all. Look, in terms of it having to do with, in terms of it affecting the national debt or anything, I know that we want to imagine this, but I think more people need to read about how money is created. And specifically, if I can give a book suggestion, Debt, the First 5,000 Years. And to TK's point, because I had this discussion with him, fellow Bitcoiner TK, I wouldn't pay attention to some of the more socialist type of crap that ends up popping up at the end of the book. For me, what was much more appealing was the history of money and how money has exchanged hands, and essentially the way that nations create money. That is, to me, what's really important about it. And the reality is that there is something called original debt, okay? And that debt never goes away. So there is no reality in which the US government ends up having no debt. No debt, no money supply. It's that simple. It really is that simple. If the entire US debt were to be paid back, there would be no money. It's that simple. Anyways, all right. So, but look, obviously, right, it's good stuff that the government is talking about Bitcoin. I'm not so pleased that I'm pretty sure all they're going to do is confiscate Bitcoin from people. But yeah, I don't see them doing the whole gold thing for Bitcoin. It's just, sorry. That's just hopium. It's just pure hopium. Okay. Let's go take a look at the Endless Paper Bitcoin. Is it Endless Paper Bitcoin Summer yet, or something else here? Oh yeah. How could we forget this? Guys, this is very cryptic. Okay. This is a cryptic one. One last one for the Hopium before we move on. Stephen Cole, who is the founder of Castle, not Castle Island Ventures, but Castle Ventures. Anyways, essentially what they do is they help businesses accumulate Bitcoin, like home offices and stuff like that. So I don't believe he's a Bitcoin treasury dude per se, but this is some cryptic hopium here. I can confirm that companies working to reindustrialize America are accumulating Bitcoin this week. Hard tech, hard money. And you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there. He's not talking about Bitcoin treasury companies. He's not talking about these businesses that have no cash flows, that are holding onto Bitcoin in the hopes that it'll pump so that they can sell more shares. Yeah, I don't think that's where he's going. Anyways, okay, moving on, guys. Moving on. We've got some paper Bitcoin, endless paper Bitcoin. Here we go. Metaplanet borrows $100 million by using its Bitcoin as collateral to buy more Bitcoin. When are these businesses actually going to start to try and make money? Like actual revenues coming in without issuing a whole bunch of debt. When do they actually get to that point? Because I got to tell you, as of right now, and I know this isn't like a metric as to what a business is going to do in the future or anything like that. I'm not trying to persuade people into that. But this is the Metaplanet monthly chart. Okay? It's pretty much given back all of its gains, and it now has more Bitcoin than it ever had. It's supposedly worth more than it's ever been worth. Question is, how many of these businesses are going to be able to afford to hold on to their Bitcoin through thick and thin? I'm very curious to see which ones. I'm not convinced that businesses like Metaplanet can. Although there is an argument for the fact that they were the first business out in Japan to do this, and they also issued their perpetual preferreds, right? So I don't know. I still don't buy it. I still do not buy it. Okay. Anyways, core versus knots, guys. Core versus knots. This is where we are. It's not so fun. Not so fun where we are right now. So, prediction markets, right? Prediction markets. Will the reduced data temporary soft fork be consensus enforced on the most work Bitcoin chain tip by March 1st, 2026? And right now, it does not look so good. It's about a 2.34% chance, according to the bets. So this is where we are right now, in the sound money world. It's just a giant clown show that has now become a betting arena on whether or not this soft fork takes place. Anyways, it's I'm obviously disappointed with the state of things. Not surprised, but disappointed. It's too bad that people just want to hang on to feel good narratives instead of what's actually real. And that's okay. That's totally fine, right? It's par for the course. It's par for the course. Anyways, we'll see what continues to happen here with core versus knots. But yeah, we've definitely come to that part in the story where nothing is making sense anymore, and none of the arguments are even realistic. So, okay. Lava. Whole lot of conversation about lava. And it's kind of funny because I was in a space 2 days ago, right? This big, massive space. And I swear to you guys, it always seems to be the same thing, right? So the grifters, right? They won't pop into a space just to have a conversation. Like, they see a space with like 50 people or 100 people. You're not enough of an audience to sell their crap. Okay, but when they see a space of like 800 or 900 people, they want to get up on stage. They want to get up on stage and they want to shill their garbage. And lo and behold, I don't even remember which one it was, if it was Bitcoin Today or whatever the hell. But what's his name? What is it? Brad Mills, right? He pops into the space, right? And we're talking, I'm not actually talking, I'm just listening. But the conversation is going in one direction, pops into the space, and immediately steers the conversation towards one of his investments, which just so happens to be lava, right? And talking about how great of a platform it is and all this stuff. We are so surrounded by absolute fucking garbage in this space. It's not even funny. And people just lap it right up. It's so sad. It is really sad. Anyways, let's talk about lava, right? It's a little bit of a story. Shout out to TK for tagging me in this one. That's today's fail. Now, I do know of some Bitcoiners that have used this product successfully and do sing its praises. Okay. I personally am of the opinion I just stay away from these loan products because I was burnt in 2017, 2018, not with loan products, but with moving my Bitcoin out of self-custody, right? Because once it's on their platform, and it does go to their platform, you don't really own that Bitcoin anymore. And like I say, you're not going to find out until the worst case scenario happens. Okay? That's how that works. Anyways, so this is the CEO and I believe the founder of Lava. Anyways, so the future of Lava. Recently, we announced our $200 million raise and the global launch of Lava's Bitcoin-backed line of credit, Block, the lowest fixed-rate borrowing product in the industry at 5%, plus like some 2% initial setup fee or some shit like that. Anyways, with Lava, you can essentially you're paying 7%. With Lava, you can access dollars instantly without selling your Bitcoin. No monthly payments, open terms, the most flexible, secure, and low-cost way to unlock liquidity on your Bitcoin. Okay, so this particular piece is about how they were using DLCs, okay? And essentially, he's explaining here that they're still using this method of securing the funds and providing the loans. Okay? So, now, this is a customer. Okay, this is a customer, Owen, who works for Foundation Devices. So this is not like somebody who doesn't know about Bitcoin, right? It's very familiar. Hold on. Lava was founded as DLC based and non-custodial. Local keys, for what that's worth, not 100% accurate, whilst lender is also the oracle, but baby steps. Now, I have an active loan. I used to have contracts updating, please wait, type loading screens. There was a forced migration process a few weeks ago. Okay, so this in the world of discrete log contracts, right? You have a higher degree of custody of your own funds as opposed to something that is entirely custodial. Anyways, there was a forced migration process a few weeks ago. There are forced updates in app, black screen making it unusable until you update, right? So forcing you into an update. This is not uncommon. I no longer have the contracts updating screen. You say now you don't use DLCs, and there's a bunch of corporate speak about trust and audits or something. Shazam, did you make me install an update where my own app ended my DLC-based loan arrangement and enter this new arrangement? Did you change the trust model without telling the customer? And he literally responded with copy pasta. And this is why I showed this initial screenshot, because literally that's all he did was he just copied this piece and stuck it into this response. So I want you to think about this, right? Like, this is how they're treating a customer. Like, you just gave them a bunch of your Bitcoin, and what they just fed you was copy pasta slop. Like, you're not even worth responding to in a genuine way. Okay? As a customer. Feels good, doesn't it? It's nice. Good job. And I appreciate Owen's take. Calls him right out on it. Copy pasting corp slop from the very post that I'm criticizing is remarkable. Indeed, dude. Indeed. We have communicated a lot in private. You have sent emails, and yet I have no idea what level of trustodial my funds are or what you did with them. Think hard on this. It's a bad one, guys. So look. Hey, there you go. 20K Bitcoin. Why not? We're almost there. So close. But look, going back to this whole thing with lava, it's really easy to get tempted into borrowing against your Bitcoin, right? There's a whole lot of people telling you just how wonderful it is, right? You've got, and of course, there's people who seem to be ultra financially successful that do this and whatnot. But I just want to remind people, right? Again, there's nothing wrong with borrowing money. I've borrowed money in the past. Everybody pretty much has to borrow money at some point. Okay. The question is, are you able to service that loan, even if what you can imagine is the worst case scenario? Okay. And the reality is that a lot of people are living beyond their means, far beyond their means, and they, in the worst case scenarios, are not able to service those loans. But you want to be enjoying your Bitcoin. You want to be living off your Bitcoin. I hate to say it, guys, but for the people that think they're having their cake and they're eating it too, like the what's that saying? The chickens come home to roost, right? Like we're going to continue to watch what happens with lava. I saw a comment from Bitcoin Errorlog, John Carvalho, exclaiming how he called them out 2 years ago. And if people don't understand, right, they essentially made a change to the back end into how your funds were being custodied and didn't actually tell the customers about it, right? They just changed it. That's, a lot of us came to Bitcoin because of transparency. I mean, at least for me, right? It was really important that Bitcoin had a transparent ledger. It was really important to me that there's this hard cap. It was super important to me that the government couldn't control it, right? So when you go and you give your Bitcoin in order to borrow against it, you're really hoping, right, that the people who set up these businesses are going to have the same objectives as you, right, and are going to be just as responsible as you are, but they're not, right? Their goal is to get your Bitcoin. That is the goal. A second, Moonshine Fuel. I have no idea who any of these supposed companies that lend these BTC. It's like, who are they? Could they fold? Yes, probably. Exactly. And in all fairness, throughout Bitcoin's history, we've seen them fold. So it's not that it's not that we've ended up in a situation where, oh my gosh, this is a surprise. We've seen this happen time and time again. Now, of course, there are businesses that do offer these services and do it correctly. And they've been doing it for a really long time, and they have gained the trust of many Bitcoiners. But guess what? That happens. That is a very slow process, and it happens one customer at a time. Right? There's no shortcuts to that stuff. Anyways, guys, yeah, lots of talk about lava. So tomorrow we were supposed to have Lawrence Lepard. Unfortunately, we are not going to have Lawrence tomorrow. Ulrich and I will not be hosting him tomorrow, but fret not. We are working on rescheduling with him. He's a very busy guy, and we want to make sure that that we get him on the show. So going to be back tomorrow with the news once again. And of course, you guys have a great rest of the day, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Take it easy.